Most of that was cumulative discovery they had already received in another fashion. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. Disclaimer. Everything stated in this video is my opinion and my opinion only. And just like everything else in these cases we discuss here on this channel, everything is alleged. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about a very specific portion of last week's hearing in the Idaho 4 case. Most of you guys heard during the hearing that the state actually handed over an additional 398 gigabytes of evidence. This is what I had to say in my roundup video. Now, just so that you guys have an example about how much data that actually is, it states right here that you could store around 1 to 200 HD movies, depending on their length and quality, that it's roughly 100,000 songs in MP3 format, that it could be up to 100,000 high-resolution photos, but could also contain millions of text documents or PDFs, which again does sound like a whole lot. But whenever you hear that the majority of it is information that the defense already has, yeah, in a little over a month, they could have definitely gone through all of that if they really have all those people working on that team. Now, I've seen a lot of arguments going back and forth on Twitter and other platforms about this very small tidbit of the hearing, and it's because we have deadlines and other things coming forward. And like I mentioned in my recap video, I very much appreciated the fact that the judge asked, okay, but how much of that was new evidence? Because that's what the argument is about. For some reason, people are not hearing what Jennings is actually stating, or they just want to argue about things that are literally not arguable. So let's just recap again what Jennings is claiming about this say 398 gigabytes of new evidence.
398 since August 13th.
How much of that is new information?
Ms. Jennings could speak to that.
Ms. Jennings, can you speak to that? Ms. Jennings, can you speak to that?
Your Honor, the defense was given, and I'm not sure if this is what they're referencing, but they were given a copy of the OneDrive from the FBI. Most of that was cumulative discovery that they had already received in another fashion. I'm sure there were portions of it that was new information. Okay. I've not calculated how much of that was new. So I can only rely on Ms. Taylor's, what she's represented to the court on that.
Well, I don't think she knows because it doesn't sound like she's looked at it yet.
Not all of it, Judge.
Now, the phrase that I'm really honing in on when it comes to how she is describing this is this one right here. Most of that was cumulative discovery they had already received in another fashion. What does this sound like to you? How disorganized does this sound like to you? Does it not sound like the way that we heard Detective Mowry describing how he would just get pieces of evidence that were supposed to be part of like security footage and just store it all together, but he apparently wasn't responsible for validating that any of it was actually evidence or putting it in chronological order or putting it in any order whatsoever? And, you know, all of that non-validation and non-verification process that they don't have going on here is how there's apparently surveillance camera footage of a car at the cannabis shop that isn't Bryan Kohberger's that's part of the evidence. That's a big problem. So whenever we see and hear that Jennings is the one that very thrown under the busedly, we found out that is the one who put this 398 gigabytes of basically useless information together, for her herself to sit there and state, oh, it was a whole bunch of stuff that they already had, but as for anything new, you know, right off the top of my head, I can't tell you. That's one disappointment. But then to also hear that so much of it was apparently cumulative discovery they had already received in another fashion, and it's been a month and a half since they've received it, and the defense still hasn't gone through all of it. If the majority of it is duplicate discovery, that should have been done by now. And I'm just going to keep remaining on that point of thought as well. But people want to take this statement from the state about how they handed them over all this evidence, and they're like cherry picking about not wanting to hear that portion of it. There's no super top secret evidence that they found and suddenly passed over to the defense. No, mostly all of it is duplicate discovery, and that's basically coming from the mouths of the people that put it all together themselves. So I wanted to take that August 13th date that we got from both sides when it comes to when this new batch of discovery was handed over and compare it to the discovery request that we have from the defense for around that time and after August the 13th. So if you see on August the 5th is whenever we had the defendant's 16th supplemental request for discovery post out to the public. Let's take a look and see whenever it was actually filed. The 5th, August 5th. Okay, so then if we go down to August 27th, okay, August 27th, which was a day after. So on August the 26th, there's the date right there. That's 13 days after the defense would have gotten this 398 gigabytes of evidence of discovery, and they are still posting a request for discovery. So it was almost 2 weeks after the defense received that batch of evidence that they then filed for the 17th supplemental request for discovery, which tells me that they were filing requests for discovery before even looking at the evidence that they got from the state, because according to Ann Taylor, as of last Thursday, they still hadn't gone through all of it. So is that like premature request for discovery, or is Ann not being honest and they actually did look through all of it, realized most of it was duplicate, and then they filed their 17th request for discovery? I don't know, I'm just thinking out loud. But that's really it, you guys. I just wanted to go back over that little tidbit because Bill Thompson really did just throw Jennings under the bus with that entire situation. But I am really, really glad that the judge asked that question, because to get us like an inkling whatsoever about what that drop was really is super telling. Because with them claiming it's all basically stuff that they had before from other means, then it's nothing special. There's nothing super secretive. No top secret new evidence, apparently, because it's all the same stuff. Mostly all the same stuff. And for Jennings to not even know off the top of her head how much of it was new evidence means that nothing most likely stood out to her. So there's that. So I don't know why some people are taking that little transfer of data as something special, but if people really listened to the words that were being said at the actual hearing, they would know that it's nothing.
Most of that was cumulative discovery that they had already received in another fashion.
But again, that's it, you guys. Let me know what y'all think down in the comments. If you like the way that I present this information and give my opinion, please don't forget to leave a like on your way out. Subscribe to the channel if you were not subscribed already. And don't forget to make sure that your notification bell is set to all so you don't miss any of my rants, reviews, reactions, updates, or deep dives. See y'all.